So let's look at what I call the inflammatory core 4. These are the four foods, the four food additives, ingredients that are most likely to disrupt your microbiome, disrupt your gut health, and contribute to inflammation. Number 1 would be gluten-containing grains, things like wheat and rye and barley and spelt. There's a larger conversation about this. It's not just the grain, it's what we've done to it in the hybridization and the genetic modification of the grain and what we're spraying on the grain supply. But the reality is grains were throughout human history, they were good for storage, right? They were good for times of famine. But the problem is people are feasting on famine foods year round. On top of that, it's not prepared properly, and it's what we've done, as I said, to the grain supply. So there's nuance to my position on grains, but for the sake of simplicity, look at the amount of grains that contain gluten that you're eating throughout your day, and the way that it contributes to chronic inflammation in human health. Number 2 would be industrial seed oils, things like canola oil, vegetable oil, soybean oil. These are higher in omega-6, and they're basically extracted from their whole food sources. So vegetable oil, it's no longer a vegetable, right? So it's extracted from the plants, and it's very unstable in its sort of more refined, processed form. In the modern Western diet, we want to have a balance of omegas 3, 6, and 9. These are polyunsaturated fats, or what we call PUFAs, that are needed for human health, but we want the proper balance or ratios of omegas 3, 6, and 9. The problem is the modern Western diet is very high in omega-6 and very low in omega-3. So these industrial seed oils like vegetable oil and canola oil and soybean oil are really throwing that ratio of omega-3, 6, and 9 out of balance. So what I would say is look at packaged foods, read labels, because you're going to see these in a lot of different boxed foods. So that's number 2 on the inflammatory core 4. Number 3 would be added sugar. Most people know that already, but look at the labels on the foods you're eating, and you'd be surprised at how many added grams of sugar, how much added sugar are you having throughout your day. So look for anything with the suffix OSE, that's sort of a euphemism for sugar. But then also look for even the prettier, more natural, organic way of saying sugar. Something like agave nectar, right? It sounds so natural, like someone just squeezed this agave into this bottle for you, and it's so natural and healthy. The reality is, it's really high in fructose, and it's contributing to the added sugar that you're having throughout the day. So even the brilliant marketing that's out there, it's confusing us as consumers. So I really want to empower you to educate yourself on the labels and look for the added sugar and be mindful of how much you're consuming in the day. And the 4th food that I would put in the inflammatory core 4 would be dairy. There are better versions of dairy, certainly. There's grass-fed, organic dairies. There's fermented dairies like cheeses and yogurts and kefirs. There's A2 milk. The problem is, again, there's nuance to this, but it's what we've done to the modern dairy industry, right? The cows are crossbred, and most casein, which is the dairy protein that's in dairy products, that's what's the dairy protein. It's what's known as a beta A1 casein. That's the sort of the new casein on the block. For thousands and thousands of years, humans would have consumed beta A2 casein, not beta A1 casein. So that's why you'll see in different health food stores creeping up, they're talking about A2 milk or different dairy products made with A2 milk. That's because that's the OG casein. That's the sort of ancestral dairy protein that humans would have had for thousands of years. So all these foods that I'm talking about, whether it be gluten-containing grains or industrial seed oils or sugar or dairy, we have to talk about human genetics and epigenetics. Researchers estimate that our genetics haven't changed in 10,000 years, but yet our world has changed so much in such a short, finite period of time when you're looking at the totality of human history. So what they talk about is this mismatch between our world, our DNA, and the world around us, a genetic, epigenetic mismatch. And all those foods that I just mentioned on the inflammatory core 4, they are out of alignment with human genome, which hasn't changed in 10,000 years. So by decreasing these things that our DNA is saying, what the heck are you consuming? And it's triggering these genetic predispositions that have been around for thousands and thousands of years, but they're being awoken like never before in human history because of this genetic epigenetic mismatch. Environmental toxins are part of that as well. And that's where we're able to really be clearing out during the Dr. Will Cole reset. So look at food, look at environmental toxins, look at biotoxins like mold toxins. We will be dealing with the underlying drivers of chronic inflammation and chronic health problems during these next 3 months. So food is quite complementary to the Dr. Will Cole reset, and I want to just empower you to get the most out of those 3 months. So can't wait to see you in month 2.